But there is something that, say, back to that Jeffrey Robertson thing, right? And okay, I get provocateur, left-wing lawyer, but we see in parts of mainly the left of the United States suggesting, this is illegal, he could be impeached for this. And again, perhaps that delay that comes out of places like Australia. I get it, Matt. While you and I might be fluent in MAGA, you and I may exchange the odd text message about something that has happened deep inside the MAGAverse at time to time, but I also know that the majority of the Australian people does not have the same view that we have about Donald Trump. But that said, how is it so deep for so many that they're unable to divorce, every and any action of Donald Trump's is disastrous with, you mean the country that's threatening terrorist attacks has been put on its arse? Great.
Well, Paul, even taking away the particular circumstances of this horrific Iranian regime, just a couple of presidents ago in Barack Obama, I believe he and his administration bombed 7 countries. 7 countries. And there was no congressional approval. The circumstances around those bombings were very similar to these that the world found out after the event for obvious reasons. And the president didn't go and seek congressional approval. I mean, this is not a new thing, and I'll leave it to other legal experts about whether or not under the US Constitution the president should seek congressional approval. But clearly Donald Trump's done nothing different than a cavalcade of presidents before him. They weren't impeached. I don't think he will successfully be impeached here either. And then you get on to the particulars of this Iranian regime. Clearly there is a need to try to prevent Iran from seeking or having the most terrible of weapons, given their sponsorship of horrific terrorist acts in the region. So it is worth trying to do this. Now, I'm not exactly sure whether this has or we can succeed. I think that's still an open question, but I do think the US administration deserves marks for trying, and now we've got to try and ensure that this doesn't blow out to a wider war as well. All right, Darren, one last thought on this.
Of all the things that Trump would be impeached for, it ain't going to be this one.
Please. And again, remember to actually be removed. I mean, this is the whole stupidity of the impeachment process. It's 2/3 of the Senate. As long as they got half or a little over or a little under, it's never... No Team Red, Team Blue is going to be booted out of office unless it is something unimaginably horrific, which I don't imagine is coming anytime soon. All right, I want to squeeze in a couple of Australian issues here, as well as keeping our eye on everything happening around the world. Matt, you have been given the responsibility from the Nats of actually putting a dollar value on net zero. Now, you've spoken about it a long time. You've waited for this number to come from other people, but it's your job now. How many bits of butcher's paper do you have, and how will you work it out?
Well, I won't be doing the work myself, Paul, but we'll be seeking to try and get to the bottom of it with the help of smarter people than me. It's really is a travesty that we haven't done this work. We've approached this net zero issue with a shoot first, ask questions later approach, and that has been as disastrous as normally such an approach is. By doing this, we have shot a number of industries already. We've lost our nickel industry, we've lost our urea industry, it's the most important fertiliser, and we've lost our plastics industry. Just in the first 3 years of net zero, there's been over 10,000 jobs lost across those 3 industries, and they're essential ones, were essential ones to our economy. And so given these geopolitical risks that we've already highlighted, why are we deindustrialising our nation when the rest of the world is not? So in particular, we should be costing a scenario where if we continue to act like we've got our head in the sand about what's going on everywhere else in the world, how much would that cost our country? How much would that cost in terms of jobs, in terms of higher power prices, and of course in terms of lost industries that are essential to the defence of this nation? So look, we'll be trying to do that work. I welcome the fact that our leader, David Littleproud, has said we will review our position on net zero emissions, and it can't come soon enough.
Darren, as a person who's well and truly across the parts of the country that believe there is no price that is higher to pay than the potential issues to do with the planet, and Australia must get rid of 110% of 1% of the world's problems, would you like to suggest Matt should look under particular rocks about where that dollar value could be?
What I've said before, and I'll say it again very happily, the Nationals, particularly people like Senator Canavan, Barnaby Joyce have done a very good job of convincing regional Australia that renewables is not in their best interests. Therefore, it's very difficult for the Nationals to reverse from that position and reverse from a pro-nuclear stance. So, we don't want to preempt what the report or the inquiry will find, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes status quo. The problem is, politically, if you're in a coalition, that places enormous pressure back on those city seats that the Liberals need to win in order for the coalition to return to power. And that's going to be an internal dogfight that I think is going to be a very difficult one.
Well, also, I was noticing that Susan Lee, who is going to be giving an address to the press club in the next couple of days, already the net zero issue is one that is being demanded to be answered in the early days of a new parliamentary term. One would imagine it is not going to be resolved anytime soon, but certainly I think that, if Matt's got the information and you can put the information together, we keep being told that information is what's able to form opinions. What's wrong with having, as you say, Matt, the information that has either been long denied or is in a million different places?
Well, just to take up Darren's point, what I'd like to see is that we come to a decision after all of this, making our choice based on what's best for our country, not what's best for winning particular seats. And I agree with what John Howard said. The best politics is usually the best policy. So let's focus on that.
All right, good stuff, lads. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Matt. We'll see you again into the future.